y'all, and welcome back to Elle's Journey. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my experience solo traveling in Costa Rica. This is a new series in this channel where I'll be talking about each country that I went to and my experience in that country. So make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get started. So this video is going to be broken up into 5 sections. The 5 sections are going to be places, people, price, the safety, and my overall experience. So Costa Rica was my first solo trip, and it was probably one of the best destinations that I could have chosen for my first solo travel. While I was in Costa Rica, I stayed in Jaco, but I also did little day trips to Manuel Antonio, Playa Hermosa, Uvita. Manuel Antonio is a place that I recommend. It was a 10 out of 10 incredible experience. It is a national wildlife park, and it's kind of like a zoo, but the animals run free in the wild and just do whatever they want. While I was in Manuel Antonio, I saw sloths, all types of birds and monkeys. So a lot of people go to Costa Rica to see the wildlife, and if you really want to see the wildlife, then I definitely recommend going to Manuel Antonio. From where I was staying in Jaco to Manuel Antonio, it was about an hour car ride. However, if you plan on staying in the capital, San Jose, then it's going to be about a 3-hour drive. But I do recommend it. It was incredible, and for the price, you definitely get the experience of a lifetime. And the price is pretty good as well. For parking, it is $20, and the entry fee is around $20 as well. So $40 in total, and it can be an all-day experience, and definitely recommend. I also did a day trip to Playa Hermosa, and Playa Hermosa was a super cute little beach town, super relaxed. It had great coffee shops, and it was very small, kind of rugged, but if you're into surfing, the waves are absolutely incredible there. They're a little bit bigger than what they are in Jaco, but I do recommend just to spend a couple of hours there. They also have really cool rock pools that you can swim in, so if you bring some snorkels and a mask, you can spend a couple of hours there just exploring the rock pools. But you're going to want to make sure to go at low tide, so that's the best time to see the rock pools. And it's only a 10-minute drive from Jaco, so it was 4th or 5th day of staying in Jaco. My friends and I at the hostel decided to go to Uvita because there was a absolutely incredible waterfall, and what was really cool about this little waterfall in Uvita is you can actually slide down the waterfall, which was super fun. And it has a pond that you can swim in as well, so you can swim, slide down the waterfall, but be very careful because it's not the safest and the water is pretty strong. I'll add in a video here so you can. And Uvita is also a 2-hour drive from Jaco, but the drive was just incredible. Something else that was super cool about the waterfall is no one was there. My friends and I had the whole place to ourselves. I recommend going there if you can whenever it is not raining, because whenever it starts to rain, it does get a little dangerous on the hike up there. So be careful with that and make sure you go whenever it's not raining. Next part, I'm going to be talking about the people in Costa Rica and my experience with the people there. So while I was there, I was staying at the hostel, and that's where I met most of my friends, and they were from all over the world. In the tourist industry, most people in Costa Rica speak English, which is super helpful for me. I knew a little bit of Spanish at the time, but not enough to communicate fully with people. And I also spent a lot of time going to different bars and clubs. To me at the time, I was 18, so it was so exciting just to be able to go to a club and drink a beer and dance. And something that I did notice in Costa Rica at disco clubs, you have to be careful because every time that I was there was like a group of 6 or 7 older guys just standing around the dance floor just watching everyone. I didn't really know what to think of it at the time, so if you are going out, I do recommend Go with friends, don't go by yourself, and just be prepared that if you want to dance, people are going to be touchy. Aware of your surroundings at all time, and keep your phone on you at all times, and make sure that your items aren't in a spot that can easily get taken. Part of this section is the price. So the price in Costa Rica is one of the most expensive countries within Central America, just because it has a high tourism industry, and that's what a lot of the economy runs off of. Whenever I was there, I brought $2,000 US in cash, and I don't recommend doing that. What I recommend doing is transferring your US dollars to colones, which is the local currency there. While I was there, I used US dollars to pay for everything. I used it to buy groceries, get food, like going to Manuel Antonio, as well as beer. Everything was in US dollars, but I recommend using colones because if you use US dollars, you are going to have a little bit of a exchange rate fee. At this moment right now, one colones is equal to $0.0020. So we recommend using colones for your experience, and also cash is king there. I don't recommend using a card. I do recommend using cash. A local beer is around $2 US or 900 to 2,500 colones. However, if you want a Corona or a beer that's not from Costa Rica, then that is going to be around $5 US, which is still pretty cheap compared to prices in the US. But if you were to go to somewhere else in Central America, it's going to be even cheaper there. I did have a little bit of trouble at the ATMs as well. I don't know if it was my card or just the ATMs, but whenever I was in Jaco, I could not pull out any more cash. So I do recommend bringing the right amount of cash that you need and just keeping it safe at all times. Get a money belt and you put it underneath your t-shirt. That's my biggest recommendation, and make sure that wherever you're staying, it's locked up and safe. We're going to be talking about safety, and this is how safe I felt within Costa Rica. So I felt overall pretty safe in Costa Rica. I was blessed to make friends and had a big group that I would usually hang out with and do activities with. There was one time whenever my friends and I were walking down like this dark street. It was pouring rain and we weren't in the center of town, and police officers actually drove by in a car and asked us what we were doing, and we said, oh, we're walking to get some food. And they said you shouldn't be walking in the street at night, it's very dangerous. And I remember them saying like you could get stabbed or something, so we're a little bit like shaken up after that. So my key takeaway from that experience is to always stay on the main street. The main streets are going to be the safest place. The more people, the safer you tend to be. There's a lot of pocket theft in that area. It's like that anywhere else in the world. My key focus from that is to just always keep your stuff in a safe place to where you're not going to be able to grab it as easily. Jaco itself, it was a big party town. It seemed like a lot of drugs in the area and there's needles on the ground sometimes. So just being aware of that and understanding your surroundings, I think, is so important. Road conditions on the main highway, the roads were fine. I wasn't worried about it. However, as soon as you get onto the back roads, they tend to be kind of rough, and if you go during rainy season, which is when I went, then it can be muddy and dangerous at some points. There's a lot of hills and mountains in Costa Rica, so if you're going up a hill and it's muddy and it has rained or is raining, then it can be extremely dangerous. With that all being said, my overall experience in Costa Rica was incredible. It was my first solo trip and I didn't really know what to expect, and that's why I wanted to make this video, to kind of help people going into solo traveling kind of understand and what to expect within Costa Rica. My overall rating would be an 8 out of 10. I went there to learn how to surf, and that's exactly what I did. I fell in love with surfing, and I spent most of my days surfing and doing little day trips. The people there were great, the people at the hostel as well as the Costa Ricans, and it was a great experience. I recommend going to Costa Rica to anyone.